All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy February. It is February 5th and Groundhog Day, and we're going to have an early spring. So I'm pretty happy with all that. So thank you all very much for joining us. As you notice today, I'm on my laptop. My computer is a little bit down today. So I figured, there's the background from my kitchen is in front of me, and the family room is behind me, and you might see a animal. Well, actually, they're both on the couch. I don't know if you can see over there to the couch, but they're just hanging out. So if you hear some dogs in the background, that's the world of Zoom that we live in. So today is February 5th. For the mug of the day, I have a WMA mug, Women Marine Association mug. This is in honor of a wonderful woman. Her name was Mary Roa. She was a Korean War veteran and who passed away at the ripe age of 97. So she served during the Korean War at Washington, D.C. She was a public information person during the Korean War and just had an amazing life and amazing experience. And she peacefully passed away with her family and friends present. And we're gonna miss her. So she was an amazing person. But so that's the mug of the day is in her honor that we are going to be with today. So with that, we have a guest speaker today, and Cortez Watkins, and he's here to talk a bit about a program for veterans. Those of you who may or may not know, there's a lot of places and opportunities for veterans, and we're going to try and just spread a little bit of information their way. So Cortez Watkins is the Senior Workforce Pathways and Partnership Liaison at Fermilab. If you ever thought about Fermilab, if there's veterans out there, you should think about Fermilab. He is, again, Fermilab is in Batavia, if you don't know. He is the partnership liaison at the Office of Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Accessibility. And his passion lies in nurturing a culture of inclusion and accessibility within the STEM fields. And he is committed to creating avenues for success in engineering and science, particularly at Fermilab. So with that, I want to welcome Cortez Watkins to our little Zoom today. And he's going to give a little bit of a presentation with regards to, there are great things at Fermilab. In fact, I remember seeing what, and I'm probably going to get it wrong. I'm not sure exactly what it was called, but it came down I-88. It was a big magnetic
Oh yeah, the G minus two magnet. Yeah.
and that was like me and my son. We went down, we videotaped it, put it on Facebook Live. It was just amazing to see this piece of equipment just come down the tollway with all the police escorts. So with that, Cortez, I'll pass over to you if you want to talk a little bit about to the group, the individuals that are watching today.
Sure. Well, good morning, and thank you so much, State Representative Kifowit, for having me here this morning to speak about the amazing initiatives at Fermilab. So, yeah, I will share my screen here. Okay. All right. So, as you mentioned, we like to say at Fermilab with our veterans initiatives, we have a moniker from service to science, veteran transition initiatives. And so recently, Fermilab received some additional funding from the Department of Energy to expand our veteran reach to the tune of about $4 million. And the program is entitled Valor, the Veteran Applied Laboratory Occupational Retraining Program. That's a mouthful, right? But I think when we think about veterans, we want them to be able to bring their full selves to work. So Valor is right-sizing Fermilab's award-winning vet tech program. The new program extends opportunities for military veterans by providing multiple entry points for STEM-based technical learning. And so at Fermilab, we have these programs. I will speak about the first one is our Valor JROTC program. It's a paid 6 week summer internship for Illinois JROTC cadets. And so a lot of high school students are trying to figure out ways to navigate life. And they may say, hey, I really like doing something hands-on. I really like doing something with computers, or I might be interested in business pathways. How do I get my start? I think the Valor JROTC cadet program is a great initiative for them to get going. We also have the Vet Tech program, which was our initial program here at the laboratory. It's a paid 10-week summer internship program for military veterans to intern in our technical areas as well. A lot of our military service members and veterans have participated in this program and gone on to actually contribute to a lot of different areas at the laboratory. And our newest addition is our Valor Apprenticeship Program, which is a paid 6 month training cohort. We offer a fall and spring cohort as well for service members to work in a capacity of technical work areas. And I'll share a little bit about some of our success stories here. Success at glance. So Christopher James was one of our original Vet Tech representatives here at the laboratory. He interned back in 2017 for our neutrino division as a mechanical technician. And one of the unique things about Fermilab staff is that we're always willing to help nurture amazing talent. And so he showed a lot of promise and said, hey, well, I want to go ahead and further my education. And he decided to go back to school and actually obtain his engineering degree. And he was actually hired recently in our SQMS area at the laboratory. And so what's a nice thing about that is that he's paying that forward already. He has served on our selection committee for new vet tech apprentices and Valor apprentices, and also has been promoted in that area. So this is a picture of him down below and some of the systems that he's worked on at Fermilab. As well as we have Andrew Childress and Anthony Lake. Both were hired after participating in 2017 and 2018, respectively. And our newest initiative, we have relationship with the University of Chicago Office of Military Affiliated Communities, where we have transition service members in their last 180 days are able to participate as a part of the DoD Skill Bridge program. And so these 4 participants were some of our Skill Bridge participants. And as you can see over on the top, we have Chelson Jackson. He became our new small business liaison officer. We have Chandler Lawrence, who's working in the cyber area, James Jason, who is one of our esteemed financial analysts, and also Miguel Gutierrez, who's working in our area facilities. So these are just some of the the success stories that we have here at Fermilab within our veteran initiatives, and we just want to impact more veterans. As you can see, one of the goals that I have is also attracting more women veterans to the laboratory. So hopefully, Representative Kifowit, you can help me with that initiative and getting more people connected to our amazing opportunities at Fermilab.
Oh, certainly. That is the whole purpose of why I am just thrilled to have you on this on our
Mhm.
Zoom today to talk about all these great initiatives. And again, uh, everything I've heard about Fermilab from our good friend Congressman Bill Foster is just that it's a wonderful place to work and a wonderful place to um, just to be there with the partnerships that that you talked about. So if a veteran would be interested in looking into this more, I'm assuming there's information on your website and more that they can dive into. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, they can actually even Google the Valor program, and it'll actually pop up directly on Fermilab's website. But you can connect to our website at www.fnal.gov. So that goes directly to all of our amazing job opportunities at the laboratory.
And then one of the things I thought was really great is that you're willing to work with members of the armed forces that are to be going out are going to be getting out, going to get their discharge, and so that when they because that was one of the great stories that you always hear from like World War II veterans and Korean War veterans that they knew they had a job when they
Hmm.
got out.
Yes.
And Fermilab is of course funded by the government and the railroad. So they always knew that they had a good job waiting for them when they came back from the war, when they came back from their service. And Fermilab, I think, is wonderful. They're offering that same uh, type of program that you're working with service members that are transitioning out,
Yes.
and they know that then they can get potentially a good job when they leave service with honorable discharge or with whatever discharge. I believe of an honorable status is probably what you're
Hmm.
looking at. And um, so when I got out of the military, I was
Hmm.
just given like a plane ticket, and it was things have changed, and I'm a little
Yeah.
jealous. When I got out, I got a plane ticket home from California. There was no TAPS class, so now they got all
Hmm.
these TAPS classes. There was no TAPS class, and I had been in warm weather for 4 years, so I literally didn't have a coat. And I remember my grandmother picking me up from Midway Airport, and when I called her with all the details of the flight, and I told her, I said I don't have a coat. And so my grandmother was all of like 5'2", so she brought me this very, very small coat. It was wool, it was itchy, it looked like a a very bad plaid
Hmm.
couch. And so I didn't even have a coat. I didn't even, I stayed at their place for a while. I didn't even have a place to live for one of the couch surfing peoples. I was a couch surfer
Hmm.
when I got out of the military. So all that being said, I think it's amazing that here's an opportunity for a service member who's transitioning out of the military to actually, transition right into a good paying job.
Exactly. Yeah, and one of the things that we think about at the laboratory is that we know as service members are transitioning, we want them to bring their full selves, but we know with bringing them full selves comes with a lot of different things, right? And so one of the things that we've pride ourselves with our veteran initiatives is not only just to bring them there, but to also support them. We have what we call employee resource or laboratory resource groups, and so, with our laboratory resource groups, we actually have one for veterans specifically, where they provide mentorship and also just kind of like a buddy collaboration to help them transition. We help with support for furthering their education, professional development, as well as for those transitioning service members, giving them feedback on their resumes so they can put their best foot forward with applying for opportunities at the laboratory. I think one of our newest initiatives is also called Courageous Conversations, where we have monthly sessions and talk about different areas that veterans are facing, such as PTSD awareness, but then also helping the Fermilab community understand, hey, these are the skills that folks are coming with. You know, this is how you work with folks that are coming from these different types of backgrounds. Because one of the hardest things that I've witnessed for service members is really translating those skills into the work that we have that's out here in society, you know, in civilian role, as they say. But I think one of the things that I really do appreciate about this program is that our supervisors and our staff here at Fermi Lab really roll up their sleeves and say, hey, we want to give service members as well as veterans an opportunity to just really shine here. And that's what I'm most proud about working with this initiative.
No, I think that's just amazing. And I have to say, courageous conversations.
Mhm.
I love that. That's what we all need to have,
Yes,
even on non-veteran, I know non-veteran individuals as well, but we all need to have some courageous conversations in our lives
yes.
to talk about things that are stress and to talk about things openly, honestly, in a safe environment, of course, non-judging. So I think that's I'm gonna. You don't mind if I borrow that and talk about it?
Well, bring me on to
I love
talk
that
more
phrase.
about it. Sure. No, I think it's great. When I was thinking about it, I was talking to my boss, Sandra Charles, who's the Chief Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Accessibility Officer here, and we were just talking about them. Like, okay, hey, we need to do something different, and so I think one of our first sessions was actually with Heinz VA, where we invited them out to talk about different things around the veteran community, and so. I've just been just amazed by the feedback from our community and then also people that participate. But I'll be remiss. I didn't have this one student up, but we had our first cohort of our Valor JROTC this past summer in 2023. And we had a student from East Aurora High School. He participated. His name is Anthony Ramirez, and I remember he came and he was just like, "Hey, well, Cortez, I'm still trying to figure out. I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to go to school eventually. But I really like working with cars and hands-on things." And I'm like, "Okay, well, come here, try the JLTC program with Valor." And he did his first 6 weeks, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is pretty cool. I don't want to leave." And I'm like, okay, well, we can work that out. So he was graduating from East Aurora, and he decided to stay for our Valor apprenticeship program, and he's working in our target systems area as a Valor apprenticeship. And I just got word recently that they want to hire him on full time. So just imagine, for an 18-year-old that's trying to figure out life and everything, and not really knowing, and to have an opportunity to come here to Fermilab, and now he has aspirations to go on into engineering. But I think sometimes that's just a little push that we need, right, to be successful. And so I think the work that you're doing here by having these types of conversations as well are some just little push that people need in the right direction. So thank you again for having this platform for us.
Oh, absolutely. And you bring up a good point, as a lot of young people love working on cars, are mechanically
Mhm,
inclined, and they can't imagine, or they're not exposed to all the mechanics that would
mhm,
go into running a place like Fermilab. All the
yes.
machinery and all the mechanical maintenance that you all need to do there. And so I think that's wonderful to give them a different perspective and on where they can use their tools and their skill set in a different way than they imagine. Just, cars are everywhere, but
Hmm.
exposing them to that kind of path is just amazing. And
Yeah.
uh, can't speak enough about good things about it. Now, my son is in the Navy right now.
Hmm.
He's on the USS Ralph Johnson. He's talking about reenlisting, so it might not be his path right now. However, if I was a person in the military, a veteran who have gotten out or thinking about getting out, what what job skills would you be looking for?
Sure.
So that the veterans out there can say, I guess you mentioned mechanic. There are mechanics in the military, tank mechanics,
Hmm.
motor T, and but there's other, like my son is in a ETFC, I guess,
Hmm.
electrical technician, fire
Oh,
control,
yes.
radar and stuff like that. So are there specific job skills, military job skills that you are looking for, or is it just open to anybody that was in the military that might want to chart a different path or might go down another path with regards to their experiences?
That's a great question. I think it's actually a little bit of both for what we do here. When you were saying your son's MOS, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, we can use him now. Yeah, because electrical technicians and mechanical technicians, or people that have those type of skill sets, are in such high demand here for the laboratory. But I will say that we have just recently we onboarded two new skill bridge participants, and they're working in one is working as in our sustainability area, and the other one is working with one of our environmentalists here. So I found that I don't really put a limit on the skill sets that the veterans and service members have, because I'm just in awe a lot of times just because of some of their work experiences. But I will say I think the ones that are in most demand is probably electrical and mechanical. But we do have different pathways as far as business and project management, project controls. So folks that have an interest in computer software or just trying to learn, if you're open to learning a new skill or trade, that's something that we can also help to teach with our on the job training. So Fermilab is as understands that, yeah, we do science, and we like to say we do science, and we do science very well. So we definitely have those roles as physicists and computer scientists. But sometimes those folks started, as technicians or in the technical workspace. So I think if someone has an interest in a lab, I don't want them to be dissuaded by saying, "Oh my gosh, I don't have a degree in physics, so I can't pursue an opportunity in Fermilab." I think that's one of the biggest misnomers that's out there. I think that what they need to do is reach out. and I'm very accessible. But if they are thinking about transitioning, they can actually check out the DoD website, so DoD Skill Bridge website, and they can actually find us under the University of Chicago's link, and they'll show all the different jobs that we have, and we set up like monthly, well, really weekly interviews with service members that are trying to transition. They have questions and things like that. I think I was just on a call last week where we had some service members that had backgrounds in HR, and trying to figure out, okay, how can I work, at one of the, national labs with my HR background. I think I have someone that's starting today. He was a commander on a submarine for 20 years. And
Mhm.
now he's going to lead some of our environmental safety and health training here at the laboratory. So I will say that if you have a background, we know that the military really works diligently to provide those skill sets for folks. We just want to help them translate it to opportunities here at the lab. So don't count yourself out. Just, reach out and we can kind of discuss specifics too. Mhm.
Oh, that's wonderful because I think that's one of the most important things, like you hit on, is that if you're not a physicist or a scientist, then Fermilab's not the place for you. But you have a whole bunch of other, like you mentioned, trainings and HR and admin and payroll and all that other
Yes,
stuff.
all of
That
that. Yeah.
because when I was in the military, I did payroll. I did all
Yeah.
the admin
Hmm.
stuff, and people really liked our department because they would always call to see when the pay was going to get.
Oh, yes,
So we did all that background stuff, and that stuff is important to any organization.
it is.
So
We had a veteran actually that helped to transition our pro card system, and that was his job skill, and now he's working as a business analyst, right, in the area. So yes, you're absolutely right. Mhm.
well, I was in 30 years ago, so I don't think you have computers with small green screens anymore that are DOS only input. So I think my skills are a little outdated from my military years, but definitely no, that's wonderful that you have such a great array and that you're there to help uh, veterans and the Skill Bridge program. Actually, I think the General Assembly passed that to work with the DoD.
Mhm.
A couple of years ago, I was on it with Representative Dave Bella. So talking about
Awesome.
Skill Bridge and being able to
Mhm.
access our service members prior to them coming out of the military
Mhm.
if they choose to. So it's great that you're part of that and interconnected with what you said. You go to the Department of Defense website and then go to the University of Illinois Chicago.
No, University of Chicago, yes. And so our colleague, Dr. Terrell Odom at U Chicago, actually heads that initiatives, and we work very closely with their Office of Military Affiliated Communities, or OMAC for short, and we get everyone connected to these opportunities.
Well, next time you see Dr. Odom, tell him I said hello because we go
That's
way
true.
back. He's a wonderful person, wonderful
Yes, he
person.
is. Yes. Mhm.
Well, no, I just really appreciate you taking the time out of your morning to come and discuss this program. We have a couple people on the line watching, and Roger, my good friend Roger, who's an Army veteran, says
Mhm.
hello.
Oh, hey,
But
Roger. Mhm.
yeah, Roger's on there saying good morning to all out there in Kifowitville. Oh, very
Mhm.
good. Uh, but is there anything else you want to add on before I move on to giving updates on the General Assembly with every guest? You're allowed to stay on and listen if you want to, or you can
Yes.
pop off. But I'd give a up. We're going to Springfield this week, if you didn't know.
Okay.
So
Yes.
I'm traveling down, and we're starting to do the people's work. So I give
Okay.
a little bit of update with that. But is there anything you want to leave or touch on that we might not have touched on that I didn't ask about, or?
No, I just want to thank you again for allowing us the opportunity to speak about these initiatives at Fermilab. We really are committed to strengthening our relationship with the veteran community. So we hope that we can come back again and share more and actually give you updates from this telecast about how many people that are taking advantage of the opportunity now. So thank you again.
Wonderful. And then can individuals just email you directly? Like if groups want you to come and talk to them,
Sure.
I'm thinking like I'm a member of the American Legion or the VFW, or there's veterans in Kiwanis and Rotary and that. Could they just shoot you an email or
Yes, yes, actually, yes, they can send me an email, and then also I'll bring some of my colleagues with our veterans resource group actually out to support. So my email is just cwatkins@fnal.gov, and also they can check out our website at www.fnal.gov.
Fabulous. Well, we will send that out there. We'll get it. I do an e-blast every week, so I'll put it in our e-blast and maybe we'll get some good groups that will invite you and your colleagues to come and talk about, what I think is just a phenomenal opportunity. I wish, again, like I said, I wish these opportunities were available to me when I was
Yeah,
getting out instead of figuring it out on my own. So I think people are really blessed to have, and our service members are really blessed to have programs like Skill Bridge and Fermilab that are working together for their success in the future. And courageous conversations. I got it in my brain now. I'm gonna be using it everywhere. It
yeah,
is succinct. It is to the
yes,
point, and I think it sends a message that people shouldn't be afraid to speak up and talk about what's going on, what their feelings are, that
yes,
sort
yes,
of thing. And military members can be a little stubborn.
yeah. You don't say so. Yeah, no, yeah.
uh,
So we got
myself
to make
included sometimes.
We're gonna make sure that I know we have our next one coming up in March, so in honor of Women's History Month. So we definitely will send you that invite, and maybe you can share with your constituents as well if they want to join in. So definitely, and we might have
Oh,
you in on one too.
anytime. I'm
Okay.
happy to participate. Let me know. Always happy to represent the only female veteran in the General Assembly. So
Yeah.
it's unique in that regards. And
Yes.
um, I think that again, as you said, including everybody and
Hmm.
having various different role models is so important to any organization, to be quite
Yes, it
honest.
is. Yes. Well, thank you again so much, Representative, for all of your hard work and dedication to the country and your sacrifice. And we will see you really soon.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you, Cortez, and really excited to be working with you and spreading the word. And I'm just really excited about this program. I really truly want to just make sure that everybody's aware of it and that they can tune in and apply and have a great experience at Fermilab. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm gonna stay on and listen in, okay? Have a good day.
Have a great one. Take care.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to the General Assembly. As I mentioned before, this week we are going down to Springfield. Session starts on Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're in this week. And just giving you a little bit of an update, both chambers are in. So the House and the Senate. Sometimes we're not in at the same week, but this week we are on the same week. Most of the time we are in during the same week. It's just a week or two that might be off. But we need to file our bills and identify the priorities for the session. We do have a deadline this week, filing our bills by February 9th. Just for your information, um, the governor's budget and state of the state address is February 21st. Now, back when I started, I know I'm going back a little bit. I got sworn in 2013. There were two separate dates. One was for the state of the state address, one was for the governor's budget address. However, during COVID and over time, we've merged it into one presentation. So the governor's budget and state of state address again is February 21st. Deadlines, we focused a lot on deadlines. So the deadlines to move the House out of committees is March 15th. So not a lot of time in the Senate and April 5th in the House. So not a lot of time. We're working a lot to get those deadlines met. Congratulations to Representative Amy Ellick. House Republican leader Tony McCombie has announced that she has been elevated to the position of Assistant House Republican leader. So I know that sometimes it looks like we don't like each other on the other side of the aisles. That's contrary to reality. We work very well on some issues across the aisle, most issues across the aisle. There's a couple that we don't agree on, but Amy is a wonderful person. Representative Ellick will do a great job in that position. Now, as you may know, chairing the Personnel and Pensions Committee We just got a COGFA report. I've used this many times before. COGFA, the Commission on Government Finance. So we have an update to report the state's pension system. So we have what is called, and I know I'm repeating myself from past Zooms, gonna keep repeating it. It's still an issue. Unfunded liabilities of the state system. So when we talk about the unfunded pension liabilities, it's similar to talking about somebody's mortgage. It's a long-term debt. We make payments on it every single year, billions and billions of dollars of payments to pay down the unfunded liability. What is the definition of an unfunded liability? It is the time when the state pretty much didn't pay their pension payments, going all the way back to Governor Edgar. Governor Edgar signed into law in the 90s what is called the pension ramp. We're in the pension ramp today, and pretty much said we're going to pay tomorrow. It's like that, if you give me a hamburger today, I'll pay you Tuesday. So back there in the 90s, they took a 10-year holiday from paying their yearly pension payments, and then took out loans and did all these shenanigans. We have stopped all those games with our pensions, and we're making our pension payment every single month to a 90% funded ratio, which is considered very healthy. I know that there are reports that talk about us shorting the pension payment. Well, they're talking about that gap between funding at 90% and funding at 100%. Right now, our goal is to be funded at 90% by 2045. That's the payment that we're making every single year. We've been making it. The governor has supported making it. Nothing, no shorting, no games with these pension payments. We're making our pension payments. So long story short, COGFA came out with a report to talk about our total unfunded liabilities of the state systems, which total $141.4 billion. Granted, it's with a B. It is a big number. Our pension systems are big. The state operates on billions of dollars. $52 billion is roughly about our budget every single year. When you look at the city of Aurora, hundreds of millions of dollars on the city level. When you look at the city of Chicago, a billion, a couple billion of dollars, and then moving up. So a big system. Our teacher retirement system accounts for 57.8% of the total liabilities. Of course, we have a lot of teachers. We still need to support our teachers with regards to that. And then the state employee retirement system is with 29 billion. The state university retirement system is with 27.7 billion. So that's kind of the breakdown. Those are kind of the numbers that I look at in Springfield. I know they're not very exciting. I'm not going to bore you with all the reports I read. I just like to give you a little bit of a snippet of some of the things that go across my desk that I touch base on. Our pensions committee is meeting on Thursday. So we're going to be starting the work again of pensions to really get us on a path of paying our pensions, paying more to pensions. As you know, with your mortgage, if you pay an extra mortgage payment every year, it comes down a little bit faster. So we're looking at how can we make additional payments. We made $700 million payment last fiscal year. We're hopefully make another little nugget to pay it down, but we really should be looking at strategies to pay it down a little bit more quickly and get our footing to that, maybe that 90% solid. Good policy for the state, good policy for the workers. That's kind of how we roll. That's how I roll. That's how the state is rolling. We're doing great. 9 credit upgrades now. 9 credit upgrades. We got to keep that positive momentum going. And I just saw a report that said that, you know, uh, I think over 50% of people in Illinois have a favorable view of the state of Illinois. Imagine that. When you start doing good things, people start liking what they see. We're working really hard to be fiscally responsible, So, which means that we have to be responsible with the taxpayer money, but we also have to be responsible for people's lives and the services that we provide. And we are always working hard to have that balance. And the same balance is with the pension system. We have to make sure that we're fiscally responsible with that, meaning that we are cognizant and respectful of the workers, cognizant and respectful of the workers and their pensions and when they're going to retire. Because right now it's we're not equitable with our other neighboring states in many aspects. And then also we are we need to be responsible for the state of Illinois. So it is a balancing act that we take very seriously. Me and my colleagues, that's why I say we take very seriously in the Illinois House. And it's my impression that the governor and the Senate does as well, to be responsible. Couple subject matter. We have a robust committee agenda this week. We have committees every single day, from human services, public utilities, transportation, adoption, child welfare, insurance, judiciary, consumer protection, and then on that's just on Tuesday. With regards to energy and environment as well. That's just on Tuesday. Wednesday, again, human services, judiciary, transportation, healthcare, immigration, human rights, and then, of course, pensions and childcare accessibility on Thursday. So ilga.gov, and you go under schedules, you can find the schedules for both the House and the Senate. If you are interested in long-term care and workforce, the House Human Services on February 6th at 10 a.m., you can zoom in, or not zoom in, but you can look in at ilga.gov. In the Senate, just for your information, there's a special committee on criminal law and public policy on February 7th at 9:30 in the morning to look at the trends of Illinois' criminal justice system and the recent work of the Illinois Sentencing Policy Advisory Council. And then I know it's very important. We've talked about this before. And we talked about this, a little bit with our courageous conversations, is the mental health and healthcare arena, for lack of a better word, the workforce development. And there's a workforce shortage on behavioral and mental health professionals. So the House Mental Health and Addiction Committee will meet. This is a little bit further in the future on February 23rd to talk about the workforce shortages. So that's a little bit of what's going on in the House. Not much. We're gearing up. We're ramping up to do the people's work. That's what I'm saying. The Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act marketplace enrollment is closed. So if you wanted to enroll, you kind of missed the window there. According to the CMS data, 398,814 Illinois enrolled in the Affordable Care Act marketplace during open enrollment. So last year, more than 88% of Illinois enrollees received some sort of premium tax credits to help reduce the cost of their healthcare. So working to maintain affordable healthcare. I know there's a couple bills on the docket in the Illinois House that we're reviewing along that same vein, working with our federal partners to rein in some of these costs as well. So again, it's ongoing, and the state of Illinois is working really hard with regards to that too. Equity and inclusion. We talked about that. There's a commission on equity and inclusion, and there is an online training academy for state employees designated to offer courses to enhance the knowledge and promote equity and inclusion within the state's procurement landscape. And over the weekend, I was at the Quad County African American Chamber Jazz Brunch. I've gone every single year, pretty much. I might have missed one year, but it's been 15 years in the making. And way back when I was an alderman and I was a member of the Quad County African American Chamber, we were talking about diversity and inclusion in the procurement process of the state. Again, the state works in billions of dollars, and there's contracts to be let, road contracts, and you name it, pretty much. I can sit here for hours talk about all the procurement. But so looking at where we're at and what we're doing and reviewing our procurement process with the lens of equity and inclusion. It's not a bad thing at all. So the governor reported, and you might have missed it, might have not missed it. Illinois Department of Human Services is partnering with Google to launch a new centralized portal for children's mental health care. The portal is called Beacon, and it's a centralized hub to finding behavioral mental health resources much easier for parents and providers. One of the leading causes of death for our young people, our teenagers, 13 to 21, one of the leading ones is death by suicide. Mental health is a big factor. Mental health amongst our kids is a really big factor. And partnering with Google with this portal called Beacon is a major project that's following the work of the state. We launched last year's Blueprint for Transformation. And the executive report on children's mental health care commissioned by Governor Pritzker's Children's Mental Health Transformation Initiative. So the report's online, you can read it. And this is just one step forward to make sure that we're doing all we can for our kids. Now, my kids are grown, but I still check in on them. I still, want to make sure that they are doing okay. You just ask the question. You don't just say, "Are you doing okay?" You also have to have a courageous conversation with your kids, which I've always had to talk about their mental health as well. Also, Illinois Wellness Checks in Schools Program Act, is getting some recognition as well. So you can certainly look into that. Um, Now, one of the fun things I like to report on and work with my friend, Representative Will Davis, is film tax credits. Now, a lot of people, individuals, look to these incentives and say, oh, they don't really need a tax credit. They're films. They make, hundreds of millions of dollars sometimes. A film's a blockbuster. However, we need to be competitive, and this keeps us competitive. Our state has a competitive film tax credit. It ranks near the top in the country. And guess what? Illinois is attracting Hollywood studios and producers in our state, which I think is wonderful. So we averaged about $404 million in direct production expenditures by Hollywood studios from 2012 to 2022, billions in additional economic benefits over that time, and 6.81 $6.81 return on investment for every dollar the state spend on the investment. So tax incentive, spend a dollar, we get back about $6.81 in benefit. It's amazing. We are I think just doing great. And one of the things that people don't realize when we give these tax film credits is we're giving it to the tax film to bring. But what do? They bring people in. They buy foods. They utilize restaurants, and there's a huge economic synergy that comes when these Hollywood producers come in and they do television shows. They do blockbuster films, and really, it's really great. So we have some big budget movies at Transformers. They feature really, really, really good incentives. So looking at 2022, we changed it a little bit to allow credit for the first $500,000 of qualified individual resident, non-resident compensation under qualified expenditures. If you notice, when you watch a movie, I noticed this. I guess I noticed this more than the average person does because this is the realm I live in. But at the end of the movie, you see the Georgia peach, and you're like, all right, so that film, I kind of look to see where the films are made, and one of the things we found out is that we had a salary cap, a limitation on salary cap for the this tax credit, and we changed that in 2022. So because it was fairly low, so we changed it in 2022 to allow the tax credit for the first $500,000 of qualified individual residents. Now, what does Georgia do? They don't have a cap at all. So when you look at these movies and you're like, ugh, another movie with the Georgia peach in it. Why is that? Well, because that's a market that we're competing in, and we need to be competitive. And so now, if you watch this Zoom and you see that Georgia peach, you're like, ugh, we want to get these movies to Illinois. So look, and of course the newspapers report when Illinois is doing a movie. But definitely that's something to watch for. That that Georgia peach and the tax incentives that we do for film. So we're doing really well, but there's always more to do. It's a competitive workforce to get these movies to Illinois and to spend their funding. Lieutenant Governor Julia Stratton had the first meeting of the Healing Centered Task Force. Again, we're still a little bit on the mental health subject here, but how trauma lies at the root of many mental health conditions in youth and criminal behaviors. Years ago, I attended a Casa Kane County all day seminar on trauma and how trauma affects learning and how trauma affects pretty much every aspect of a person's life. the example that always has stuck in my head is a child can't learn if they're afraid of what's going to happen when they get home, if they're afraid of actually trying to walk home through trauma in the streets, through trauma at family abuse, the like. So very excited and for the work of the Healing Center Task Force. I am not appointed on it, but always following the work that they do. They're bringing stakeholders, mental health, physical health, care providers, schools, social services, juvenile justice, to better allow for those taking care of mostly children and to understand what's being done for the child to address trauma. I once was talking to an individual. We did a Leader Manley hosted a tour of the prison down in her district, and I was talking to a young gentleman, and I kind of asked him. I said, you know, what caused you to come and get incarcerated, pretty much? And his story was that he was pretty much on his own, hanging out, kid. He and his cousins, and there's a drive-by shooting, and his cousin got shot right in front of him and died. And all the police did was ask him if he knew who shot him, but nobody provided any help or any assistance for that trauma, and it just festers, and he was angry and more angry, and that anger led to actions that led him to be incarcerated. So long story short, I appreciate all the work that Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton is doing in the Healing Center Task Force and the trauma with regards to that. What else is going on with the state of Illinois? Illinois State Board of Education seeking additional sponsors to expand its summer food service program. A lot of kids in the summer don't have food, and definitely struggle during the summer times. The Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs, they sent out a January newsletter. I will include some of that information in my email newsletter every week about educational opportunities and scholarships for the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, in our area, we have the Community Foundation of the Fox River Valley. I know that American Legion has a scholarship for veterans and children of veterans. So I encourage, and as a fact, I encourage everybody to look to see what kind of scholarships are with the Community Foundation of the Fox River Valley. In fact, a lot of areas have community foundations. So if you're college aged, going to college, looking for scholarship opportunities, I think there's something over like 50 college scholarships that the Community Foundation of the Fox River Valley administers. And you fill out one application and it goes through all these scholarships, and they try to pair the student with the best scholarship that they can get. And then the governor and many community leaders rolled out a violence prevention initiative, SC2, Scaling Community Violence Intervention for a Safer Chicago. So this is a collaborative effort between state and local government, community organizations, private stakeholders to look at the root causes of violence and create safer neighborhoods. So you see this connection. And I applaud the governor for really truly looking at the whole picture with regards to behaviors and criminal behavior in the criminal justice service. We're looking at this violence prevention initiative, and we're also, parlaying that along with the Lieutenant Governor's initiative for a Healing Center Task Force, because it is all interconnected. It's completely interconnected with regards to how things are going, with regards to crime and safety, and making sure that we are doing all we can to really truly do all that we can to support individuals to keep them out of the criminal justice system. We just talked to the individual from Fermilab to give job opportunities, to really truly, and I can't say it enough, be supportive about all that. All that we should be doing. I mean, this is what the state should be doing. I mean, overall. What else is going on? Other than that, cannabis sales were impacted by dry January. I know everybody does a dry January. Honestly, everybody should just moderation if you drink, but be responsible. But So what they're talking about is they're impacted by dry January. So alcohol breaks like dry January are actually pulling the emerging U.S. cannabis market as more drinkers see marijuana as a healthier alternative. Um, I know I'm talking about in North America, but in North America, beer sales are expected to have fallen in the last quarter of 2023 for the first time since the pandemic forced bars and restaurants to close. And but at the end of the day, we just want people to be responsible um, and in their recreational habits. We're also looking at employment law changes. We passed numerous bills that impacted employment and labor law. A lot of these take effect this year. I'm not going to go through them all, but we're going to include a link of those just for your information on our next e-blast. So you can sign up for our emails at ildistrict84.com, and we will give more of a summary of that stuff as well. Um, and then the United States Department of Health and Human Services, again, partnering, will hold the Black Health Forum on February 28th from 9 to 11:30 a.m. So senior Biden Harris administration officials will be on hand, and Black health leaders will highlight their work to improve equity and access to healthcare in the Black communities. Again, healthcare is a really important subject. We've touched on that a couple times already in this Zoom. That's very important. Finally, parlaying back again to Fermilab. I know we talked about it at the beginning. We're going to talk about it. Wilson Hall. Wilson Hall serves as the hub of Fermilab in Batavia. It's now open to visitors. Guided tours are now available. So you get science exhibits in the atrium, you get the cafe, you visit the Ramsey Auditorium, second floor art gallery, and the ground floor has a credit union, believe it or not. And so if you want a guided tour, they are hosting monthly public tours on the third Monday of each month, starting on February 19th. You need to sign up on their website with regards to if you want to go. Everything else, just for your information, working on quite a few bills. Again, we talked about a bill to introduce tax credit for childcare for individuals who work non-traditional hours. I talked to a lot of individuals at the Tradeswomen Build Nation conference and working with labor and first responders, and hopefully we can get that going. We also introduced a bill to outlaw hidden junk fees, looking at that as well. We did some work a couple of years ago, so seeing how we can strengthen on that if possible. I reintroduced a bill with regards to self-driving vehicles, getting some regulation on the books. I know that it's still a bit in their infancy, but there's been incidents in other cases in other states with self-driving vehicles. And then we are looking at, again, still a veteran dental care pilot program with regards to our Medicaid program. For those of you that know the VA, some of you might not know the VA. The VA will remove a tooth that's has a cavity on it that's needs to be removed. They won't replace teeth. So there have been instances of veterans with very few teeth reduced to like oatmeal and soft foods because the VA doesn't replace teeth unless your dental work is related to a service connected disability. So working really hard to bring proper dental care to our veterans. I talked about this last time. Bears repeating. A bill that designates a United States Marine Corps Semper Fidelis Memorial Highway along I-80. How could I not? It sounds like a great idea to me. Looking at allowing some financial literacy training for public higher education employees. Would be a pilot program. We talked about this last year. Some public employees, they have their pension and they think, oh, I don't need to plan for anything. I have a pension. But really, the financial literacy is so important for so many individuals. And then we have a bill to support our King County State's Attorney to put in a request for operational expenses with regards to still working on provisions of the bills and laws that we have passed over the years. And then some technical bills along with pension bills. So still working on pensions, still got pensions going. So other than that, what did I do this week? Family Farm Preservation Act press conference. I went to Normal, Illinois, looking at protecting our family farms. Then I met with our good friends at Jennings Terrace to talk about grant funding for homeless veterans and how Jennings Terrace can be an integral part of homeless veteran prevention to allow independent or assisted living to brunch. And then supporting equity and inclusion, attended the Equality Illinois gala on Saturday night. So definitely it was a busy week. Again, Groundhog Day for the first time in 2 years. Puck Swelly Phil didn't see a shadow, meaning that he predicts spring will come early. I don't know about that, but this weather's been great. It's almost like springtime weather now. Um, Yesterday was World Cancer Day, just so that you know. World Cancer Day, we need to talk about all those that have been infected by cancer and stand by those that are currently battling the disease. Heartfelt prayers, thoughts to Robin Vickers, who lost her son to after a huge struggle. So we need to keep that family in your thoughts and prayers. And really not only on World Cancer Day, but every day. Just keep individuals that are dealing with cancer in your thoughts and prayers. And for what it's worth, I know it's very, very small when families are struggling with cancer. But last year we worked to pass a law to require insurance companies to cover medically necessary compression sleeves, and they can relieve pain uh, from cancer treatments. So, I mean, it's bills like that frustrate me that we have to pass to make insurance companies do the right thing. But what all can you do? But that's our role. That's our role of government to make sure people do the right thing. Today is Adlai Stevenson Day. So happy birthday, Adlai Stevenson. Born on this day in 1900, Stevenson served as governor of Illinois and ambassador to the United Nations. Chicago's Stevenson Expressway, if you didn't know this, was named in his honor. It's a fitting tribute to a governor who championed major improvements to our state highway system. So happy Adlai Stevenson Day. And, this brings back great memories because of my son. Today is World Nutella Day. Now, not only is it World Nutella Day, and Nutella, believe it or not, was first introduced in Italy in 1964. Nutella is popular throughout the world. And so a lot of people celebrate World Nutella Day by posting pictures, recipes, and messages declaring their love for the popular spread. Now, I will tell my story for Nutella Day. My son, every day for lunch, without fail, every day for lunch. Now, when I was growing up, my mom would put like chicken noodle soup in a thermos or try to be very creative with lunches, but no, not my son. Nutella sandwich every single day. From the first lunch he had in first grade to the last lunch he had senior year of high school. Believe it or not, even in high school, still packed a lunch. He had a Nutella sandwich. Loved Nutella, would eat it out of the jar with a spoon. Don't ask me. That was his thing. Now that when I visited him in Japan, he's kind of getting out of the Nutella mood. Can you believe it? After all these years of eating Nutella, he's kind of getting out of the Nutella mood now at age 21. Cracks me up. But anyway, World Nutella Day. Uh, Celebrate responsibly. And then finally, the talk of around the Grammys were last night. If you watched them, I hope you enjoyed them. I didn't watch them, but the highlight is from what I'm hearing. The highlight was, and I'm actually gonna, believe it or not, I'm going to go online and find this because I really want to check this out because every time I hear this song, I hear Tracy Chapman in my brain because that's kind of how old I am. But last night at the Grammys, which I'm going to now go and check out, Tracy Chapman took the stage to perform her hit Fast Car with Luke Combs. As you know now, the version that's playing is Luke Combs' version. And so that was a hit. Talking on the radio today, Taylor Swift announced a new album, and then Joni Mitchell played for the Grammys for the very first time. So those are the highlights of the Grammys. If you didn't watch them, and I will say I didn't watch them either, but you can always go back and check them out. Last but not least, Illinois fire departments responded to 21,165 calls about carbon monoxide. So make sure you have a working carbon monoxide detector in your house. Make sure you are heating your home safely during this time of I guess 40-degree weather, still kind of cool, but on this good weather. Um, Congratulations to our area partners. So the Illinois Department of Natural Resources announced $1.2 million in grants for local park and recreation programs. So the City of Aurora got $600,000. Congratulations to the City of Aurora. Fox Valley Park District got an equal $600,000. It's through the OSLAD office. It's open space and land acquisition. That some of your tax dollars go into this, and it goes only to fund buying lands, developing them for parks and outdoor recreation projects. So congratulations to our area partners. And then we also allocated $160 million. Now, I realize it says, like the headline says the governor announces, but the way this works is the General Assembly puts this money into the line items for the governor to administer these grants. So the General Assembly put in a line item, and the governor just announced $160 million with or a grant from the U.S. National Science Foundation. So that goes into our budget. We put in a line item, and then we can fund it. That's how those go. Everything goes through the budget process, even these federal fundings. So $160 million in federal funding for Great Lakes Water Innovation Engine, looking at a water innovation hub um, that is looking at the Great Lakes area for water and energy. Water is a huge force, and when I went on a trip years ago, energy environment trip to Germany, they use their water quite a bit, and so definitely we can look into that. So other than that, we're going to leave with reminding people about scams, tax scams. Comptroller Mendoza talks about related tax scams. Always be cautious. Scammers also use scare tactics to get taxpayers to hand over private information and money or retirement or refund checks. So really, truly, truly be careful. If something doesn't sound right, and even though that you're like your brain's thinking about something like, oh, this doesn't quite sound right, but it sounds really scary, it's probably a scam. Just hang up, delete the email, and definitely, definitely and truly make sure you double check it. Tom Skilling, WGN Channel 9 has found a replacement for the longtime chief meteorologist Tom Skilling, who is retiring at the end of the month. Demetrius Ivory has joined WGN in 2013. Believe it or not, that's the same year I got sworn into office. And he works the midday news and the evening news. So then he will be working now to replace Tom Skilling. And then, and then other than that, I hope everybody has a wonderful Monday. If you are around on Thursday, February 15th at 6 p.m. It's going to be the 5th anniversary of the Henry Platt tragedy for the Aurora community to come together for a candlelight vigil to commemorate the victims who lost their lives in the senseless act of violence. Russell Byer, Vincent Juarez, Clayton Parks, Josh Picard, and Trevor Winner and their beloved families, many of whom will be present. So February 15th, 6 p.m., Bell Sal Event Center on New York Street. Reservations are required. And then the African American Heritage Advisory Board's 18th Annual Heritage Dinner. I put this in the email. We'll be repeating this on Friday, February 23rd. The Leader of the Year Award is being renamed the Shakita Hart Burns Leader of the Year Award in honor of the legacy of the late trailblazer, who was the founding advisor of the Aurora African American Heritage Advisory Board. She was a dear friend of mine for 20 years, passed away unexpectedly. And then next Monday is Lincoln's birthday. It's right after the Super Bowl. So I hope everybody has a great Super Bowl. And as it turns out right now, there's some questions about whether we'll have Facebook Live or not. We are intending to have Facebook Live, but it is a holiday. So we have to look at some logistics with regards to that because it's a state holiday and we're on a state Zoom. So, but I hope all the state workers that have the holiday off the day after the Super Bowl, I couldn't have been planned any better. So with that, have a wonderful week ahead. May or may not do a Facebook Live on Monday. So sign up for the e-blast so you will know when you get the email whether our Facebook is going live. I see Bonnie and Gay are on. And Bonnie said she'd like the story of the coat. If you would have seen it, it would have been really funny because my grandmother's coat was about 3 inches too short for my arms, and it was pretty hilarious. I gotta tell you that. So with that, have a great rest of the week. I hope it's well. COVID is still out there, so be careful. Keep your distance. Wear a mask if you need to. RSV is out there. Influenza is out there. So make sure that you get your immunizations, flu shots, and be healthy. Be kind, and we will see you maybe next Monday. Check that email. So take care. Have a great day.